Hi friends, welcome into my home and into my kitchen here at All Things Kitchen. Today I am doing a little experiment. As I'm sure you're aware, the holidays are right around the corner, and I am doing an experiment for my holiday dressing. Now I always use store-bought Pepperidge Farm stuffing mix, which is just in the cornbread style. I like the cornbread rather than the regular bread. And so this year I decided I want to try to make it totally from scratch, from my homemade cornbread, and then making the dressing from that. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm kind of just whipping it up off the top of my head. I don't really have a recipe that I'm following, so I will not be putting a recipe down in the description. This is also going to be a very small batch. Normally for holidays, I make a big, like 9x13 casserole dish for a large amount of people. And this is just going to be a small batch. And there are very few things that I know how to make a small batch of. My husband and I have 5 children, and even though they have been out of the house for many, many years, a lot of times we still cook like we have 5 children living at home. So this is going to be, it may be larger than a small batch. It may just be like a medium batch. I don't know how much the cornbread that I made will fill the pan, but instead of a 9x13, I'm just using a, I don't know, this is maybe a 6-inch round, 6 or 7-inch round. And we're going to be making it in that. So yesterday I made the cornbread, and I'm going to bring you back to yesterday and show you what I did. Okay, friends, so I have here my jar of cornbread mix, and this is just a very, very basic mix. I generally, when I make this cornbread, I generally add shredded cheese and or jalapenos to it, but obviously we're not going to be doing that with all of it. I may split some of it off and make a couple of cornbread pieces with the shredded cheese. I don't have any jalapenos right now, but I am going to be using this to make the cornbread in. So we'll see how much this makes. I know how much it makes. I usually cook this in an 8x8. So I've got my jar of cornbread mix here, and I'm going to add in 2/3 cup of milk. I'm going to add in 2 eggs. Oop, got an eggshell in there. Sink to the bottom. Let me see if I can save it. One egg. What did I do with my other egg? Here it is. We will keep the eggshell out. We don't need eggshells in our cornbread. 2 eggs. Let me go wash my hands. And then 4 tablespoons of oil. I am using avocado oil. This is a 2 tablespoon measuring cup here, so I'm going to put 4. And we're going to get this little mix. Now, because I'm just going to be doing a small batch of the dressing, this is just a trial run for the holidays coming up. I've always bought the store-bought cornbread crumbs to make the stuffing. I've never made it from scratch before, so I just wanted to try this out. And I don't need to make obviously as much as what I would make for a holiday for a bunch of people. So I am going to pour some in here. I'm not going to measure it out or anything, but just so I can have some that I'll add the cheese to. And then I have this. So I do have a little bit of poultry seasoning. I have no idea how much to put in here. Let me grab a measuring spoon. I don't want to overdo the poultry seasoning, so I'm just going to add like a 1/4 teaspoon into the mix. And then after this is cooked, I'll be able to taste it and see how much we need to add when we make the stuffing. So I'm going to give this a good mix here. I hope that wasn't too much because there's not a whole lot. Put a little bit back here. I'm hoping to get like 4 of these filled. So 2 I can do with the cheddar cheese and 2 I can do with the poultry seasoning. Perfect. So I have this. It just smells like cornbread. I don't smell the poultry seasoning, but that's okay. So I have my little loaf pan here that I'm going to, and I sprayed it with some avocado oil. This is going to get a little bit of a rise. Maybe I didn't need to add that little extra that I did because it looks like I'm going to get 3, which is fine. So there's 3 of those, and then I'm just going to shred some cheese into here. I am preheating my oven to 400 degrees right now. And I normally, like I said, bake this in like an 8x8 pan, and it cooks at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. So this will not need that much time. It won't need the full 15 to 20 minutes because they're smaller, individual. Get this mixed in here. I love cheesy cornbread. It should be good. And I'll be able to tell the difference because you can see the poultry seasoning in those. Try to get them there. There we go. All right, I'm going to get these bowls washed up while my oven is preheating. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit. So it's easier to clean it now than after it's baked on. Okay, timer just went off. I'm going to put these in the oven. I'll start with 10 minutes and take a look. Now, while my cornbread is cooking in the oven, I am going to roast a chicken here. So I cut out the back and I put that in a Ziploc bag in the freezer for when the next time I make chicken broth. And then I had an impulse buy at the grocery store. I found some Parmesan flavored bread dip seasoning, and I thought it sounded really good. And I just mixed this with butter, and I'm just going to put it underneath the chicken skin here. Let me turn this around so I can get to the breast a little bit better. I'm just going to separate the breast from the skin so I can get that in there. Got the cornbread out, and it is resting off to the side. I'm going to turn the temperature down on the oven for the chicken. Come back to this. Just kind of making a little pocket for that butter to go into. I'm just going to use my hands. And this is going to be delicious, I'm sure. Okay, chicken's going to go in the oven. And the cornbread is done. It's been sitting in the pan for about 5 minutes or so. I'm going to go ahead and take them out. They're cool enough. They're still warm. They're cool enough to touch. So we're going to have the cheesy cornbread with the chicken tonight. And once this cools down, then I'm going to go ahead and crumble this up, and this is what I'm going to make the stuffing with. Let's see. I think it will definitely need some more poultry seasoning, but I'm going to taste it. But we're going to let it cool down first before we crumble it up. Okay, so I am just taking the little mini loaves that I have here and just crumbling it into pieces. And then I'm going to let these pieces get like a little stale. I'm going to just have them set overnight. Nothing fancy here. I do want to give this a little taste to see how much seasoning. I can taste the poultry seasoning, but it will definitely need some more. So we're just going to crumble this up. And I wanted to do it while it was still just, it's not quite room temperature, but it still has a little warmth to it. That will just make it stale up a little bit better, I guess. Not quite sure words I'm looking for. I was hoping to get it a little bit more brown on top, to have a little bit more brown pieces, but I didn't want to overcook it. That's fine. All right. So we've got this all ready, and I will just leave this out for a little bit until it does come to room temperature, and then we'll cover it up and save it for tomorrow to make the stuffing. So I did end up putting the cornbread, I had it in the bowl, I had it crumbled up in the bowl, and I did end up putting it out on a cookie sheet, on a parchment lined cookie sheet, and I put it in the oven with just the light on for a little while. I did that, and then I did end up turning the oven on for just maybe 3 minutes, got the temperature up to about 115 degrees, and then turned it off. So it just had a little bit more heat than just the light, because I wanted this to dry out some. Now it's not 100% dry. It's not hard like a crouton would be, you know, something like that, but it is dry. So I'm going to just, to make this easier, I'm going to put this in this bowl really quickly. So I have my cornbread, my homemade cornbread bread there in a bowl, and I am melting some butter that I'm going to put some onion and celery in. Let me bring you down. I didn't even measure the butter. I just took some out of my butter bowl, but that's, I'm going to say, about a half a stick. And then I have 1 stalk of celery and about a quarter of an onion. So as far as ratios, you do your preferences. If you like it onion forward, you know, go ahead and do that. If you like it celery forward, if you don't like onion, you don't like celery, all those things you can keep out. So I'm just going to saute just kind of till these are translucent a little bit. I was making some chicken for my pets, my dog and my cats. So with the chicken bones and whatnot, I did make some chicken broth. So I do have some homemade chicken broth to use for this dressing. And along with having the poultry seasoning, I'm sorry, my new bread machine is running, so it might be a little loud. It's the first time I've used it, so I'm going to add about just 1/8 of a teaspoon of that poultry seasoning in with my onions and celery. As you saw from the video from me making the cornbread, you see that I did add some poultry seasoning into the cornbread. Now, just FYI, I will in the description put the recipe for the cornbread. I'll actually link the video of when we made that cornbread mix together. So I will link that down in the description. But I'm not going to have a recipe for this dressing because this is the first time I'm making it from my homemade cornbread, and I'm just going to have to play with it, and after today, see what it needs. So I'm going to let this cook up for a little bit, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, so we've got the celery and onions cooking to pretty much desired temperature or consistency there. I am going to add in some salt, because the chicken broth that I'm using is not salted. Like I said, I made that chicken for my pets, so I did not put any salt in that. So I'm going to make sure that I have that salted. I'm also going to turn on my oven to 350 degrees. Okay, so here I have my cornbread from yesterday. I'm going to add another 1/8 of a teaspoon of the poultry seasoning. Actually, I'm going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon of the poultry seasoning in here. And 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt in here. I'm going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of celery salt, just to give that a little boost. And I'm going to add some extra, if I can find it. Let's see. I guess I used all my rosemary for my rosemary salt that I made. So maybe I'll just go ahead and use that. Where's that? Here it is. Looks like I need to make some more. Doesn't have very much rosemary in it. You know what? I'm going to go grab some fresh rosemary. I'll be right back. Okay, fresh rosemary out of the garden. I just rinsed that off. Don't need a whole lot. This is probably maybe more than what I need. And my hands are all wet, so it's sticking to me. Let's try this. All right, dry the hands. And this was just the cutting board that I used to cut the celery and the onions on. Yeah, I didn't need a whole lot because this is a small batch. Rosemary can be a strong herb. It smells delicious though. Okay, so there we go. That beeping is just my bread machine. So I'm going to add in the onions and the celery along with all that butter. And don't know, let me go ahead and mix this up first. Just kind of get all those herbs. Let's see. Well, certainly smells like the holidays. All right, so I've got some freshly made chicken broth here. One thing I've never put an egg in my dressing before, but I did watch a couple of inspirational videos, and I am going to put one egg in here. Okay, so I let that sit with that moisture. See if I want more moisture. Let me give this a quick taste. A little bit more moisture. A little bit more salt. And pepper. Oh, it needs pepper. That may have looked like a lot of salt, but it wasn't. I only had like half of the very tiny holes open. This is a combination of white and black pepper, so I'm going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of that. Now, one thing I did do, and I could kick myself for it, is when I roasted my chicken the other night, that was in the video earlier, I meant to save the pan drippings and use that to make some gravy. And it was late at night. I was getting the kitchen put away to get ready to go to bed. And oh my goodness, I just dropped this on the counter. And I just went ahead and washed the pan. So obviously I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to add this egg in there. This is just to help kind of bind it, set it up. So I did not make any chicken gravy with the chicken drippings from the roasted chicken that I had. And it would have been delicious had I done that, but I didn't. So we will just either do without, or I can make some chicken gravy with my chicken stock that I made. Won't be as good without the pan drippings directly from the chicken, but it will work. So that is it, friends. That is all I'm going to do. So I'm going to put this in here. So it's still more than one meal, which gives me an idea. This was, how many did I do? 3. This was 3 of my little cornbreads. So that gives me an idea of how much I would need to make if I just wanted to make something just for the 2 of us. There is one dish that I have started making, not just at the holidays. My green rice, I've shared that recipe with you before. My broccoli rice. That is a holiday favorite. And I'd like some other dishes that we eat at the holidays. We all have those favorite dishes that we like to eat at the holidays, but why do most of us, I know some people, do make those dishes outside of the holidays, but why do most of us only make those dishes at the holidays when they're our favorite dishes? That's why we're making them for the holidays. It's because it's something that we really enjoy. So I have started making what I call the green rice or broccoli rice throughout the year, and I put chicken in it and make it a meal all on its own. And one thing, interestingly, let me put this in the oven. I just heard the oven go off. So the oven's preheated to 350 degrees. And I'm just going to put that in there. One thing, I forgot what I was going to say. Stuck my head in the oven and poof, there it went. No matter, it'll come back to me probably in the middle of the night. I'll wake up, roll over, and oh, that's what I was going to say. My goodness. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up my mess and get this chicken broth, the rest of my chicken broth. I'm not going to can it. I think there's probably only maybe 2 quarts. So I'll just put that in the refrigerator and I'll use that when I make cooking rice or something this week. Also, if I need to make some chicken gravy, then that way I have it as well. So I'm going to get that cleaned up and then I'll bring you back when that's coming out of the oven. We'll taste it together. I'm kind of excited about that. I love that little loaf pan. I love that little loaf pan. I want to make all the things in that tiny little loaf pan size. It's probably what I should have done is made the dressing, put that in that loaf pan so it made like individual serving sizes. That's probably what I should have done. Maybe I'll do that for the holidays. In that way, maybe that's something that I could pre-make ahead of time, individually wrap and then freeze. Ideas popping into the head. So I'm going to clean this mess up and I'll bring you back when it comes out of the oven. And if I remember what I was going to say, I'll come back and tell you. I turned around and I remembered. Ha! Old age, right? So when I was watching the inspiration videos, I did see quite a few people that put chicken, and they said chicken or turkey into their dressing. And like I said, when I was making the cornbread, some people call it stuffing, some people call it dressing. I call it stuffing if it was stuffed in the bird, and if it's cooked outside of the bird, then I call it dressing. But we have never put chicken in our dressing or stuffing, and it looked delicious. It looked delicious. And I think that might be something to try again for a one casserole dish meal like that, like I do with the broccoli chicken. Is I could do that with the dressing as well and put a whole bunch of chicken in there and make it a meal. I think that would be really good. I could just imagine that being really with the gravy on top. Holidays are coming up. Oh, it's gonna be a good year for food. It's gonna be a good year for food. All right, that's what I forgot. That's what I was gonna say. Do you put meat in your stuffing or dressing? The only meat that we ever had was my mom did sometimes, some years, make for my dad oyster dressing. Us kids never ate that. I like raw oysters, but I don't eat them cooked in dressing. It just never sounded appealing to me. And that was the only meat that we ever put in dressing. We never put the turkey or chicken in it. But that sounds good. What do you guys do? Do you use cornbread? Do you use regular bread? Do you use stovetop stuffing? Do you put meat in your stuffing / dressing? Do you call it dressing or stuffing? Let me hear some of the things that your household, your family traditions, things that you call and use in your holiday stuffing dressing meal. All right, now really, this time I will bring you back when it's coming out of the oven. Welcome back, and let's give this dressing / stuffing a try. Let me see here. So I cooked it in the oven for about 30 minutes. Just going to put a little bit in this dish here to give it a try. It's still steaming hot. Smells so good. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm going to run over and go let my husband try this real quick. Hold on, honey. So I got the smile and the thumbs up from him. He said that it is delicious, but it would definitely be delicious with some gravy on it. And I agree. It does need some gravy on it. Snoopy, can't go outside right now. So, friends, I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that. It was easy. Just took a little prep. I know it's not as easy as just pulling a bag out of the cabinet, but this is all homemade. I made the cornbread and I made the dressing from scratch. So I'm very happy with that. I hope that you use this for inspiration to try maybe making your own cornbread stuffing or dressing. And put in the ingredients that you like. Maybe watch some other videos to get measurements and whatnot. You know, us home cooks, sometimes we just cook from the heart and measure from the heart, and that's what this dish was for sure. So thank you for coming along with me today while I experimented with my holiday dressing recipe. And I hope you come back and see some other things that I have going on. Again, getting ready for the holidays coming up, thinking about different recipes and experimenting or just prepping, getting some things maybe put in the freezer that will be ready to make the holiday cooking a little less stressful. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Take care.